Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing some love notes from your person. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the green calcite. Group 2 is the orange calcite. And group 3 is the pink calcite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the green calcite. So let's see what your person wants you to know right now from their higher self. And we have, I've been telepathically communicating with you. So it feels like if you're in separation with your person, they are very consciously trying to manifest a reconciliation, maybe working up the courage to reach out and speak to you, confess feelings, present an apology if that's necessary, or in some way break the ice between the two of you so that you can begin the process of rebuilding the bond that you once shared. So you might be picking up on a bit of them scripting or rehearsing or just kind of going through various possibilities of how they would like to word their communication, playing out scenarios of best case scenario and worst case scenario as far as your level of receptivity to them. It feels like somebody that's trying to come up with maybe multiple strategies as far as their approach is concerned in case maybe you are not so receptive to them. This is almost the essence of wanting to like earn your trust back or prove to you that they've changed and evolved in some sort of manner. So this isn't just like try once and if that's not successful, then they just sort of fade away into the background. There's almost a sense of this person wanting to sort of show you or prove to you their evolution rather than just relying on words alone to sort of make promises or to explain something. Things that it feels like even just a different approach to you by way of consistency and receptivity and kind of honoring maybe your boundaries or skepticism or guardedness as far as they're concerned, and then trying to sort of take a slow and steady approach to the idea of connecting with you more deeply or reconciling with you feels to be something that they are leaning towards and almost sort of rehearsing even the scenario with your higher self, kind of calling in your energy or tapping into your energy and trying to sort of feel into, is it a match? What is the intensity that I need to bring forward? How much should I sort of hold back or restrain myself versus kind of full disclosure and just putting everything out on the table? We also have, I've been sending you messages in the 5D. So this person may have researched some things spiritually. They could be familiar with kind of energy work, the idea of energy flows where attention goes, or they may be consciously trying to sort of give you some sort of preview or prelude to their imminent arrival in a 3D sense by trying to almost give you clues or indicators that they are not wanting to remain at a distance, that they are planning on approaching you, sort of to give you some forewarning so that it's not just completely catching you off guard. Although the element of surprise feels to be something that they are trying to utilize as a force that could be on their side, but they're not wanting to sort of catch you in a position or approach you or sort of re-enter your world in a way that sends up some red flags or makes you kind of reflexively block them out or close them off. Especially if things might have ended chaotically or kind of uncomfortably before, there's a sense of them almost feeling that you might be very skeptical as far as their arrival. Sort of, what do they want? What are they trying to do or trying to prove? Or if you've had a lot of back and forth with this person and maybe you've cut them off, there's almost a sense of trying to sort of let you know that they're planning almost a gentle but persistent approach toward speaking to you, and that is kind of ushered in through this aspect of reaching out to you energetically, psychically, etherically. They may be trying to astral travel towards you or just setting very conscious intentions to sort of like send love or, send vibrations of apology your direction as, again, like a prelude to them popping up in the real world, sending a message or presenting themselves to you directly, to hopefully try and work things out. We also have, I've been having dreams of you. So this person dreams of a future with you. They're not wanting to leave this as an unfinished story between the two of you. They're not satisfied with the way things have ended between the two of you or with the situation as it exists currently. So this is someone who's almost trying, it feels like as well, to sort of reinvent themselves or to reimagine the ways in which they are capable of giving and receiving love. If this has been somebody in your past that had kind of given you the green light or signals that they were interested and you had, kind of tried to reciprocate with them and then they pushed you away or closed off, they may be very aware that they have kind of an avoidant attachment style. And so it feels like that's something they're trying to work on or soften or kind of build beyond, so that if you are receptive to them, if you are willing to hear them out or take them back or work with them to reconstruct the relationship, then there's a greater chance that will have longevity to it, that they're not going to get startled again by the intensity between the two of you. Any kind of triggers or wounds, like, feeling inferior or unworthy of love or the vibration of the intensity of the connection the two of you share with one another. There's a sense of them almost being mindful of that, that triggers kind of a reflex for them to recoil from you. And so they're trying to find ways to sort of neutralize that so that they're coming towards you with confidence and that you are given almost a sense of certainty through their energy, through the method of approach, through kind of a level of consistency that might have been lacking before, that they are interested in investing not just in a temporary reconnecting with you, but something that has more long-term viability than was the case previously. And we also have, you are hard to forget. So this is definitely not a situation where you are out of sight, out of mind. It feels like this person may have tried to run from their feelings or run from the connection for quite some time, but they have surrendered to the reality that you still hold a very special place in their heart, or the connection, you are more meaningful than they had admitted to in the past, or that they let themselves to believe was the case in the past. There's something where they have almost transcended a feeling of not being worthy of good situations, maybe some self-sabotage that was the case in their life in various ways, that this connection between the two of you had sort of borne the brunt of that at one particular point in time as well. And so there's effort on their part to try and create some sort of change within themselves to sort of prove and demonstrate to you that time apart or your experiences in the past were not in vain, that it's been kind of a harsh lesson, an uncomfortable reality being at a distance from you. And so there's, feels like effort on their part to sort of redeem themselves to you. They also say you were so unexpected. So it feels like this person caught feelings for you very quickly, or the nature and intensity of the feelings that developed within them were something they weren't prepared for. Even if this is something where they had approached you, they had initiated contact, it feels like something that they almost anticipated it would be a slow buildup between the two of you. And that might have been the case at first, but then you may have activated some kind of something within the heart chakra, triggered like a kundalini activation or even a spiritual awakening within them. And it feels like the intensity of that, just the floodgates opening on an emotional level, happened in a manner that was not something they've ever experienced before, or that they weren't prepared to kind of feel so connected to you. Maybe a lot of signs and synchronicities started popping up in their reality in conjunction with you, and it feels like they almost kind of freaked out and ran away. But in this sort of essence of being at a distance, it feels like they've also been doing some research maybe into soul connections. You may resonate as a twin flame or consider this person to be your soulmate, and it feels like for, you know, a good percentage of you, this person would resonate with that idea. Maybe they've looked into that and it fits with this situation, and so wanting to kind of end that period of sort of disconnect or running from the circumstance and kind of trying to work with hesitation or guardedness or feelings of unworthiness within themselves in order to try and salvage the situation, or to work beyond any kind of obstacles or barriers between the two of you in the past. Any way in which they'd reacted or like overreacted to the nature of what they were feeling and it led to a disconnect or like hurt feelings, there's a sense of them almost wanting to take more of a responsive or mindful approach. They may have kind of trouble with intimacy, trouble with partnerships, and kind of like a fear of commitment, but it feels that the idea and the incentive of regenerating something with you is compelling enough that it is encouraging them to really put in the effort to try and understand that pattern within themselves and to kind of reprogram themselves beyond it in some way. We also have my nerves get the best of me sometimes. So it feels like this person's been dancing around the idea of reaching out, reconciling with you for quite some time. You know, you may have felt their energy kind of coming in and then going cold. That can again be this sort of indicator of somebody who's been right on the brink of movement towards you and then kind of chickens out at the last minute. You know, somebody who may again have kind of fears of commitment, fears of the intensity of their feelings. They may not have ever felt whatever it is they're feeling inside so deeply for another person, especially if feelings came on quickly. That might be something that their logical mind has had trouble kind of grasping. How could I feel so much for someone that I don't know very well? You know, am I prepared for kind of what happens next in a situation where it's so new, or we were only really surface level with one another, and already there's this deep kind of magnetization towards this person that may border on obsession in certain ways, or they had at one point in time had kind of dismissed it as that. They were addicted to you, or just very kind of tied to you in a certain way, where it feels like you were a constant source even during kind of a period of separation, of always wanting to check in energetically, being at a distance and kind of watching you from afar, to where it feels like they've almost had to extract themselves or will themselves to focus on other things, which may have accounted for kind of that coldness between the two of you. But it feels like somebody who is, again, kind of scripting, rehearsing, wanting to bring forth some kind of communication, wanting to make the effort to try and repair the damage done in this situation, and maybe even explain some of their concerns or hesitations to you so you can kind of map out a plan together to take things slowly going forward. And they also say, I'm ready to commit. So that's more that confirmation of somebody who wants to reconcile, doesn't just want to come in and give an apology and then kind of move on with their life. This is somebody who wants to be able to offer to you what they were unable or unwilling to give before. And so it feels like somebody who has been deeply committed to a journey of self-love and empowerment, and kind of working through their own sort of issues with intimacy, their own kind of hang-ups as far as love and partnership are concerned in time that you've been apart from one another. And so they feel to be kind of preparing themselves for not putting any limits on what can develop between the two of you, understanding kind of maybe their tendency to sort of fear the connection or fear the nature of their feelings, but trying to sort of build, it feels like, a degree of personal strength and stamina to be able to hold fast during those instincts to sort of run in the opposite direction. And there's a sense of, if they can transcend that fear even just a little bit, then it might lead to breakthrough energy in this situation and kind of a more mutually satisfying dynamic that can be recreated between the two of you. They also say, I'm working on being a better version of myself. So yeah, this person has been putting in some effort to understand their relationship patterns, emotional wounds. They may have projected blame upon you in this situation in the past as kind of a coping mechanism, or like a lower vibrational just sort of reflex within them. Anytime they felt vulnerable, felt wounded, felt very exposed emotionally speaking, the default might have been to sort of push away the source of that, and and kind of play the victim or lay blame on external circumstances. And it feels like they've taken ownership in some degree over a sense of internal wounding, maybe the wreckage from past romantic relationships that they never healed. And so they've been looking for love, and love presents itself, and then they push it away. Something where they've kind of transcended the energy of just sort of pushing away blessings, and they're starting to, and it feels like have made substantial strides to at least kind of putting a name to these wounds or these tendencies or these patterns within, which then kind of equips them to be able to work with that and kind of build in a different direction within themselves, and then have something more to offer to you in the situation as well. And they also say, I like that you are different from the rest. So it feels like nobody compares to you. Anyone that they may have tried to date, talk to, get to know in the time period that you've been apart, there's not been that same connection. There's not been that same level of, it just feels right. It feels like home. So there's a sense that this person may have sort of taken a break even from exploring other romantic options, or they've maybe cut off other situations that they had going on in their life. They've been very self-focused, very self-directed, trying to really work on themselves in order to be able to move back in your direction, move back towards something of substance, something of meaning, something of value that they've not been able to experience with other people. Feels like since you've been in contact with one another, and maybe also in terms of through this process of healing, they've been evaluating relationships that they had or people that they were interested in or had connections with prior to meeting you. And there's a sense of this situation is so different from anything they've ever known. And it's too kind of rare to let an opportunity to repair the situation pass them by, or it's a sense of they've never met anyone like you, and that they now understand that it's kind of in their best interest to do whatever's necessary to try and remedy the circumstance, or to try and create space for themselves in sort of whatever your life will look like moving forward, rather than kind of allowing time and space and silence and pride and ego to sort of relegate them to the place where they just become a memory within your past. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got D, C, V, W, I, C, E, G, R, Q, I, M, Y, F, and N. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the orange calcite. So let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? and we have, I've been sending you messages in the 5D. So this feels like somebody who wants to take your connection to the next level. If this is somebody that you're currently talking to or dating, or maybe even someone who's come back around and has already offered an apology, and you're trying to rebuild the situation, get to know one another again or reestablish trust with one another, they are looking toward long-term future plans with you. So this is not somebody who just wants this to be a temporary situation or like a situation ship, but they are trying to find ways in which to carve out more space in their life to accommodate this connection or to build more of that trust and intimacy between the two of you. So this can be somebody who is kind of planning and strategizing maybe a romantic gesture that helps you to understand directly or indirectly how much you mean to them, how much you matter to them, how invested they are in working with you to create a mutually beneficial future. Because it feels like somebody who, when they think of the future, they imagine you by their side. They're not wanting to let this opportunity with you slip through their fingers. They're not wanting to make promises that they can't deliver on. So it feels like somebody who's trying to sort of take a very delicate approach to the ways in which you build towards that long-term future, because it's somebody, it feels like, who either in their experiences with you before or other relationships that they've had in the past, there's a sense of when things move too quickly, there's not time to really let energy settle, or an essence of kind of needing to learn one another through the course of all seasons of your reality. Every phase of one another needs to be sort of understood and experienced and accepted in order to be able to create a well-rounded and well-established situation. Not just somebody who sticks around when times are good, but somebody who will really be there when times are a bit heavy or troublesome. And so it feels like something where they're trying to take like a slow and steady approach, but may be getting ready to give you some sort of indicator that this is not their method here is not to like waste your time or to play mind games with you, or because they are at all uncertain about their feelings, but it's a sense of almost like, if we take our time, then something really beautiful can be built between the two of us. And we also have, you're so different, but that's why I love you. So if this is somebody that you've reconciled with, they have noticed that even if it was kind of a brief period of time that you were in separation from one another, or a substantial amount of time that you were in separation from one another, you have taken on a very radiant, self-empowered, and very self-loving energy about you. What was kind of the case in terms of your dynamic before has changed to where the bar has been raised, the standard has been raised in terms of what they need to bring to the table, what they need to present in this equation in order to kind of match your frequency, or to really prove to you that they are a worthy candidate for consideration. So this is someone who has been positively incentivized to really reach deeply within themselves and bring forth the highest level of integrity and effort to prove to you that they are a safe and reliable person for you to invest your trust in and to open up to, emotionally speaking. They also say, I'm speaking through songs. So you may be getting a lot of messages from this person through music, messages coming through in dreams, or even like signs and synchronicities confirming, that it's kind of a green light. It's a good idea to progress forward with this individual at whatever the pace the connection is taking right now. It almost feels like that is really endorsed or backed up by spirit, by your spirit guides, your ancestors, your higher selves are really encouraging the two of you to take a very well-rounded approach to this situation, not to rush through anything, but to really just go with the flow, lean into that energy of excitement and anticipation, know when to give and when to simply sit back and receive very mutually from one another. This can also indicate that your frequencies, your energies, and your lives are in the process of harmonizing with one another in a deep and intricate level. So if there are other kind of things going on in both of your lives. It may be something where there needs to be kind of a slower pace or approach so that you are not neglecting other duties and responsibilities, not losing yourselves within this connection, but are almost able to kind of maintain your own autonomy and your sovereignty while also really having the capacity to build something that's mutually beneficial in terms of like a common identity between the two of you in a relationship. If it's somebody that you've had to reconcile with, then there's almost an element here of getting to know one another once again, or getting to know aspects of one another that might have only been kind of brought to the surface or cultivated during your time apart. So it's an essence of kind of going back down memory lane and the experiences you've shared with one another that were really great in the past, taking the time to work through, perhaps delicately, hurt feelings, difficulties, misunderstandings that you've experienced in the past, but then also really taking the opportunity to sort of savor and explore aspects that are very unique within each of you that have sort of been cultivated during the distance, that may have led to some sort of wake-up call on your part, this person's part, on both of your parts, that this situation is worth fighting for. This connection is worth preserving or worth putting in the effort to try and mend your differences and create healing in the situation. We also have, I regret how I handled things before. So this person has definitely learned from either their past with you and has modified their approach to this situation so that you take time to both give and have the opportunity to receive from one another. This is somebody who is mindful of their own wounds and triggers as far as love is concerned, and they're almost kind of tiptoeing through things that they know about themselves in order to kind of avoid triggering anything unnecessarily. So this may be somebody who has gone through kind of a thorough, or even if it's introductory, it might have been sort of novel for them to even do this, kind of a purview of the emotional landscape that they hold within, kind of looking into their psyche, looking into their subconscious and finding out sort of, what am I afraid of as far as love and connection is concerned? What am I yearning for as far as love and connection is concerned? Where's the deficit or the discrepancy between those two polarities, and therefore what do I need to be kind of aware of as I am approaching someone with an offer of love or engaging in the process of exploring things emotionally speaking? There's a sense of this person has really learned from past mistakes with you or from other romantic situations. And so they're trying to take a different approach here that may be really kind of operating purely based on instinct. That could also lead to sort of a slow and steady energy in this situation because they don't have a tried and true strategy mapped out. Whatever they used to kind of lean into or was brought forth as the default, they've come to recognize that that only created sort of a repetitive series of disappointments with you or with just kind of romantic situations in general. So this feels like somebody who's being very proactive to almost do the opposite of everything they had been conditioned to do before. So it's a bit of like trial and error, maybe some uncertainty on their part, like, have I overshared? Am I overgiving? Am I too kind of cloistered within myself? Am I pulling my energy too much back in order to kind of tend to my own emotional needs? Am I withholding? Do I need to kind of give more? All of these things feel to be something that they're constantly sort of critiquing and evaluating themselves, maybe even in the aftermath of time spent together. They're reviewing your interactions and sort of like, was anything misconstrued? Did I step beyond kind of a boundary for myself? And, am I feeling very exposed, very vulnerable? Did you, the viewer, the other person, did you kind of get the meaning in what I was trying to convey? Did you feel comfortable? Did it seem like you were enjoying the nature of the interaction? Were you just placating me? Was this something to where I'm needing to give more or give less? So it feels like there's a lot of kind of mental chatter as far as kind of critiquing their approach and their strategy with you. But it's with the intention of trying to build towards something better than you both have experienced before, or even more than that, kind of than they've experienced in general in terms of romantic relationships as a whole. They also say, I won't let you go. So this is someone who is, again, determined to kind of build something in a well-rounded capacity where you're having the opportunity to both sort of enjoy and savor the good times, the fun times, the happy times with one another. But this is somebody who's really being mindful that they don't run at the first sort of instinct that's triggered within them, that it's getting too close, it's getting too intimate, too many kind of reminders of other situations from their past. This may be somebody that has a lot of deep wounding that they hadn't really tended to properly before, and they may almost confuse stepping outside of the comfort zone towards things that are just unknown, but perhaps beneficial. That might send off alarm bells, and so they've confused a lot of that growth paradigm with like a red flag. And that might be something that in your dealings with them in the past, there may have been like, okay, there's this intensity, there's this momentum building, and then all of a sudden they present a very different face to you the next time you're interacting with them or seeing them, kind of a hot and cold energy. And it feels like something that they're aware of this pattern within themselves. And so there's almost, this is the energy of somebody who's trying to really build the ability to stand their ground when every instinct within them tells them to run. If they can't progress forward towards you, then there's almost a sense of like, I'll stand in place and kind of hold the situation as best as I can at the position that we are in until I'm kind of eased back off of some almost like anxiety or tension and can take more of the lead once again in this situation, and we can start to build or deepen the bond once again. But this is somebody, it feels like, who is not wanting to disconnect from you, not wanting to lose this opportunity to build or repair the situation, but they're definitely operating purely by instinct, well outside of the comfort zone. This is something that's uncharted territory. They've never approached a person like this or tried to work with kind of emotional or romantic energies in this way. So it's a very proactive energy. It speaks to a high level of dedication and an understanding of the importance of protecting the future of this situation, but then also trying to keep themselves steady while they are leading with an energy of trust within them, that their instinct will kind of direct this in the proper course, as long as they remain mindful of sort of ways in which they've dealt with romance in the past that had kind of led to destructive energies, and to make a concerted effort to almost do exactly the opposite in this situation with you. They also say, I'm overthinking everything. Yeah, so there's that confirmation of somebody who's really up in their head at this particular point in time, critiquing themselves, maybe even kind of wrestling with an overactive internal critic, kind of like an imposter syndrome that is compelling them to sort of run in the opposite direction. Times that are really good, or where your connection with one another feels to be deeply aligned, it almost feels like then, you go your separate ways, you go home for the evening, or the conversation ends. Just whatever that looks like. And it feels like when they're left alone with their thoughts, they're both dreaming of the future with you, and it's filling them with a sense of almost kind of euphoria, but then there's also, it feels like a heaviness or an anxiety, because there's a very distinct voice within them that tells them they're not worthy of such a beautiful connection, almost sort of feeling that the love they have to give inside is flawed or damaged in some sort of way, especially if this is like in a situation where you've had to reconcile with one another. There's a big fear within them that they'll just sort of tarnish the situation once more, that you'll end up right back where you started, or that your heart isn't safe with them, or maybe this is just kind of like a star-crossed lovers situation and it's just not meant to be, and yet there is a huge component of them that is compelling them to continue to try, continue to kind of work with those parameters of fear and cross that threshold into something very beneficial, or at least trusting in the power of unknown things to sort of develop out of a stubbornness, to continue to sort of fight beyond the urge to sort of run away, and to fight for kind of developing and building upon that energy of deep magnetization towards you. They also say, please give me some time to heal. So it feels like the more you are building a connection with one another, it is simultaneously neutralizing elements within themselves that have been telling them that they are not worthy of healthy, high vibrational, reciprocal love for quite some time. Maybe their whole life they've been dealing with self-esteem issues. They don't feel good enough. This may be somebody who is used to kind of masking or putting on a front for other people, platonically, romantically speaking. And with you, there's almost a sense of, I want to be vulnerable. I want to show my true self, insecurities and courage. I want you to know all of me. And there's a deep fear within this person that you will reject them. You will not feel that they are the type of person that you want in their life. If they are not always presenting kind of like a stoic or strong facade, there's almost a sense of fearing showing you some kind of aspect of fear within, almost like, will you feel that your heart is safe, or that this is the type of person that you'd want to build a life with if there are points in time where there are weaknesses within them, sort of fears about the future, fears about their present reality. If they're not always the person that is kind of loud and leading and standing in that energy of confidence, can you accept that version of them that doesn't have all the answers, or holds on to kind of very authentic and justifiable elements of trepidation about themselves, about kind of life in general, about the future of this situation? So this feels like somebody who is trying to almost show you or give you a preview of some element of their shadow side, the parts of them that they keep hidden or that they try to overcompensate for, in order for that not to be an aspect that sort of undermines the connection in the future, or that just turns out to be something that is very overwhelming in the future and kind of causes damage or the risk of like the collapse of the foundation between the two of you. But there's almost a sense of they've never opened up about these qualities about themselves with anyone before. They've never shown this part of themselves to anyone before. So maybe somebody who presents as very confident on the outside, has a very kind of loud or bright personality, and there's a sense of wanting to show you their softer side, but they don't know how to do that. They've never been that exposed or vulnerable in a comfortable way consciously with anybody before. And so there's a timidness about this. Will you accept everything about me, both my strengths and my weaknesses? And we also have, let's get through this together. So they are really wanting to work with you in an equitable manner in order to be able to hold space for one another, both for hopes of what the future can have in this situation and a very cognizant acceptance of the reality of your present circumstance with one another. There's a sense of, if challenges have arisen, or maybe even this person has kind of closed off, or they've fallen into some kind of energy of anxiety within themselves, there's a sense of almost trying to sort of pray that you will have compassion, that you'll have patience, that you'll stick around while they kind of unstick themselves from whatever has sort of hindered their progress, or kind of caused them to close off within themselves. They're very determined to sort of see this situation with you through any kind of stormy times that have occurred in the past, that are happening presently. They're seeing you as somebody that they want by their side through thick and thin. You're the type of person that makes that ideal match or partner. But with that is almost, again, the sense of, I want you to know all of me, the version of me that has all the answers, that is the problem solver, that will find a way through, that holds that determination, and the part of me that feels very powerless to control my reality or control my internal landscape, that is fearful for what the future holds. And it feels like this is almost, by them showing the vulnerability to you, it's an invitation for you to almost step up and be the strength in this connection in the times when they cannot. And that by doing that, you then sort of prove to them on a subconscious level, because it feels like consciously they know that you're somebody who would stick by their side through anything, but it's their subconscious that is uncertain. Like, can anyone be trusted to be there for me when the chips are down? And so it's something where if you're going through that circumstance currently, or they're trying to maybe find a way to open up about this component of themselves, or sort of reveal this facet of their personality, it's not with the intention of like, okay, you get to hold all the weight of this connection forever, but it's almost the sense of, at this time I need you to be our strength, and then I will reach a point where I can reciprocate, I can lift us up to the next level, but I need to know that you will be here for me through good times and bad, because I have both types of days as part of my lived reality. And they also say, I realize now what I did was wrong. So there is regret about any kind of distance or separation that has occurred between the two of you in the past. So again, this person may be trying to make amends, make up for lost time, course correct in order to be able to strengthen the bond between the two of you. Anything where they have tested this connection or tested your loyalty, and that has kind of created unpleasant consequences. It's created guardedness on your part, or you're uncertain kind of what their motives are. Are they coming? Are they going? Where is this going in general? There's a sense of wanting to provide you with some kind of reassurances that they just need you to know who they are as a thorough individual in a way that they have never revealed to anyone before, or that's never been accepted by anyone before. This feels like somebody who is really loved and cherished when times are good, but they've been abandoned time and again when things get difficult in their life, or when they're dealing with a lot emotionally speaking. They've had people walk out of their life when they've needed someone the most, even to just be there, or to kind of understand and have empathy for what it is that they're maybe going through, and they've never experienced that before. And so it feels like in this situation with you, they may have almost held you to that standard, or just assumed wrongly that you would be kind of like everyone else that abandoned them. And so they've withheld their affections from you. Or, even in the process of trying to reconcile, it feels like kind of exploring uncharted territory of like knowing that they need to sort of show you this softer, more vulnerable side of themselves, but not knowing exactly how to do that, how to go about that in sort of a diplomatic way, because it's the rough edges of them. It's kind of what they perceive as flaws or fractures. It's not their best quality. It's not their best face. And yet they need to reveal that to you, or they feel very compelled to sort of show you, this is who I can be at times as well. Will you accept all of me? And so it feels like somebody who, if you're going through kind of a difficulty, or there's been sort of awkwardness or even misunderstandings created as a result of this is somebody, it feels like, who's gearing up to kind of pour more into the situation to try and reinforce for you that you matter to them, that you're somebody that they want by their side, that this is not kind of a process of trying to play mind games with you, but to just sort of inform you of who they are as a well-rounded person, so that you can both kind of learn how to work with the light and shadow polarity within one another. Almost like they're showing you their shadow side in the hopes that you will feel comfortable enough to kind of open up, not just on your best days, but on the days when you're struggling as well, because they want to be there for you in the same way that they want you to be there for them. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates with you. Got V, S, C, U, B, O, R, C, X, L, T, Q, P, H, T, S, F, R, M, W, and Y. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the pink calcite. So let's see what your person wants you to know right now from their higher self. And we have, I am situating this karmic situation. So if this is a circumstance where there's a third party situation, feels like this person is taking action steps to extract themselves from another partnership in the interest of moving towards you, reconciling with you, or even taking time to kind of find themselves, restore their own energy with the idea of wanting to open up to the development or redevelopment of a circumstance between the two of you, where maybe there had been kind of a choice between you and another person. They chose someone else, and that has led to regret. Or even a situation of there was a third person involved in the situation, and maybe this was just like a crush between two people. Nothing actually came of the circumstance because of that third party. And so it feels like they are taking initiative on their end to try and clear the board for them so that the two of you can explore the idea of chemistry and potential between the two of you. There's a sense that the situation they may have been in or are currently kind of moving beyond as far as a third party situation. It's been past its expiration date for quite some time. It might have been a trauma bond, or just people that it was easier to stay together than to kind of move apart from one another. But it feels like it has become unsustainable for this person to remain where they are, and so they're doing what they need to do finally in order to free themselves from that circumstance. If this is a situation where there are no other kind of parties involved, there's no third party situation, this can definitely tie into karmic patterns or loops in terms of like inner childhood wounds, any kind of wounding that's been left behind as a result of previous romantic connections, fears of rejection, and so somebody kind of self-sabotages in order to avoid getting hurt. Anything as far as ideas about love and partnership, religious upbringing, cultural structure, belief systems, anything that has kind of created limits that this connection in some way challenges, and that might have been an obstacle or a wedge between the two of you in the past, kind of like, I don't see how this could work. We come from two different worlds. My ideas of love are different from what's presented here on the surface in terms of this connection. And that might have caused this person to push you away or to be very hesitant as far as moving towards you and the exploration of this potential in this situation. And it feels to be something that they are aware that they basically contain themselves within a very restrictive energy. And so this is someone who, again, is taking action steps to kind of breach those borders of the comfort zone, move beyond, grow beyond these sort of paradigms or patterns that are keeping them from investing with you, because they're sensing this chemistry, they're sensing this potential, they're seeing that this situation, despite what it looks like on the outside, is something that resonates very deeply with them at a soul level. And so it is worth the risk to be able to kind of move towards the potential reward of developing something or repairing the situation with you, even if it's at the expense of kind of everything they've been taught, everything that they know, even if people in their life would question or reject the idea of the two of you being in a connection with one another. There's almost a sense of, I don't care what other people think anymore. My heart knows that it wants you, and so I'm taking steps accordingly towards you. We also have, I've been having dreams of you. So you, it feels like, are this person's dream come true, and this ties into the essence of how you make them feel inside, who you are as a person, the way you live your life, or just an element of kind of your self-acceptance and authenticity. You're everything they have always wanted in a partner, and in many ways are everything that they have always wanted to be within themselves. So it feels like this is someone who's very inspired to kind of free themselves from limitations and just allow the truest version of who they are to be expressed more openly, so that they can align with building a more productive future with you, one based on authenticity rather than kind of like secrecy or holding back or restricting themselves. We also have, I've looked into tarot readings, so they may have literally gotten readings about you and this situation, gotten advice as far as what they should do moving forward. They may have gotten some confirmations that this could be like a past life connection between the two of you. This could be a soulmate situation, a twin flame situation, something that really just kind of resonates with them at a core level that may defy logically what would make sense in terms of the type of partner they should be with, who their family expects them to be with, what society would say, any ways in which they've tried to sort of push away this situation or deny feelings. It feels like they've reached a place where they can no longer look away from the reality that you have stirred something deeply within their heart. It feels like at a time that they weren't really looking for love, or especially if there's like a third party situation here where they were already involved with somebody else, and then you came into their world, you came into their reality and really opened their heart, opened the door to this idea of a different kind of life that they could have for themselves. They may have settled into a place of just being kind of comfortably numb in their reality, just going through the motions and of kind of a lukewarm existence. And you've brought life back to this person, to where it feels like they've spent some time seeking for answers, looking to uncover kind of the truth or a little deeper meaning in terms of why you've crossed paths with one another, what this situation is trying to sort of teach them or compel them to do in terms of following their heart, and all the confirmations, all the guidance. Even this could be somebody who's been like praying for answers, or they've seen a lot of signs and synchronicities that is just kind of encouraging them to look at this situation not as an obstacle, but as something that's an opportunity to step into a different type of experience of love that helps them to kind of learn to accept and love themselves even more as well. And we also have, I am still moved by you. So if this person has tried to sort of disconnect or block you out, or, redirect their focus and attention elsewhere, it feels like they keep being pulled back around to this compulsion. I can't get you out of my mind. I can't extract you from my heart. Feelings only seem to grow over time as opposed to diminish, no matter what this person does to try and put their focus on anything other than you in this situation. They keep being drawn back to the reality that there is something very unique and special here. And for a lot of people, it is finally significant enough that they're willing to take steps that are necessary in order to break down the barriers between the two of you, close out any cycles on their end that have created obstacles internally or externally. It's almost essentially that this person is choosing you over kind of the limitations that have existed between the two of you in the past. They also say, I want your attention. So this may be somebody who's getting ready to make some kind of confession to you, reveal something that has happened in their life, or that they're in the process of orchestrating in their life in terms of closing out certain chapters and cycles, stepping beyond limitations. If there were third-party situations, you may get notice that they've left a third party, or they've closed out if there were like other options. If this was someone even that like Third parties could have been someone that didn't want to commit. They wanted to keep their options open. You may be notified that they've essentially discontinued that. They're interested in sort of developing and building exclusively with you if you will have them. This is also something where they could, really sort of open up and make a deep confession to you about even sort of internal hesitations that they had about sort of the dynamic between the two of you, or a journey that they would have needed to embark upon in order to kind of step beyond a version of themselves that had kind of put limits on love, where there's a boundlessness that kind of this situation offers as an invitation. And so feels like they're trying to make the effort to sort of open up and trust in kind of the power of miracles, or the impossible becoming possible in this situation. But it feels like something that kind of freeing themselves from whatever restrictions had sort of hindered or limited your interactions with one another in the past. There's almost a sense of them approaching you and saying, okay, I've let my guard down, or I've let these other things go. I need you to show me what to do next, because I don't know what to do beyond just kind of opening myself up to the possibility of, okay, where do we go from here? What's next now in this situation? We also have your words speak to me like no others can. So if you gave this person an ultimatum in the past, they've definitely taken that to heart. They've thought on it long and hard and have made some kind of a decision to invest with you. You're the type of person that they want to be with. You might have even kind of pushed them away, rejected them, told them you refuse to be in a third party situation, and they may have never had anyone say no to them before. That could have been something that was a very stark wake up call for this person, that clued them into the reality that you are a high value, a high quality person. They might have underestimated you, or kind of what you were willing to tolerate and put up with, and any kind of healthy barriers and boundaries that you've established with them. It sent a very clear message that they need to kind of bring a different approach to you, or that you're not willing to be sort of juggled amongst many or with another person sort of in the situation, to where it's almost like this individual's needed time to kind of think on things, and it has become abundantly clear that wherever they are at in their life currently, it's a limit as far as happiness is concerned. But the idea with you is that there's almost more expansiveness, there's more possibilities. You show them kind of a different face of love than they had known what was possible. And so there's a lot of encouragement or incentive for this person to kind of move in the direction of being able to speak with more truth about the nature of what they hold inside, and to also be able to kind of provide you with some degree of reassurance that they've taken things to heart. They're taking control of the situation in their life to be able to kind of open up into a space where there's more freedom of exploration and potential growth between the two of you in terms of romance. We also have, I know we are soulmates. So this again can be that confirmation. They may resonate with this as a twin flame dynamic, a soulmate connection, kindred spirit, past life connection. There's a deep sense of soul familiarity that they have with you. When they are with you, they see the mirror reflection of so many aspects of themselves. That might have been something which was deeply triggering to them even in the past, that caused them to sort of retreat back into the comfort zone, things that are a little more surface level, things that don't really ask them to evolve, don't ask them to change, accept just a distorted or unaware or kind of imbalanced version of themselves, things that might have looked really good on the surface or good on paper, but failed to really tap into kind of the core aspect of fulfillment at a soul level. And it feels that they can no longer kind of stand situations like that, even if it was just kind of a player energy, keeping the options open, not settling down in any one kind of location. That might be something that is also sort of worn thin. It's exceeded its ability to bring them deep satisfaction, because something's been awakened within them through this dynamic with you that they are almost able to not find anywhere else. This is a restless energy where they're unable to kind of find the peace that they thought would be possible by pushing you away or moving in the opposite direction. And so it's somebody, it feels like, who regrets their choice not to invest with you sooner, or to invest with you initially, or also kind of a degree of frustration if they're like trapped in another romantic connection or other circumstances in their life. This can have to do with work, social things, lifestyle, even ideologies that had sort of presented as this connection with you was taboo or prohibitive in some way. There's a lot of frustration that they've allowed that kind of conditioning to keep them at a distance or to push away the opportunity to experience a very transcendent type of love. And we also have, I love to flirt with you. So this person wants to move towards you with a very light-hearted energy. They may have a deep confession that they need to make, but they are wanting to almost take things very delicately, take things very slowly, because you in this situation in some way represents a transcendence beyond what they've settled for most of their life, or what they believed was kind of possible, or the way that love should be, the nature of partnership between two people. So they're letting some kind of internal kind of spark blaze within them, and that is magnetizing them into your direction. It's helping them to sort of light the path as they move beyond obstacles internally and externally that have created distance between the two of you. There's a sense of wanting to fan the flames of passion between the two of you, rather than kind of continuing to just harbor this desire, but taking no action in order to actualize that. And they also say meeting you is the best thing that ever happened to me. So you have fundamentally changed this person's life. You've awakened something within, maybe sparked or catalyzed a spiritual awakening. They're in the process of kind of maybe moving through necessary changes, even dark night of the soul, kind of a bit of regret that they find themselves in their present circumstances, or that they've chosen to return to things that were not ever satisfying, didn't ever meet their core needs, and they just sort of settled into their reality. It feels like somebody who is gearing up to take their power back in their life in general, and with that comes a profound level of change in terms of their material and emotional circumstances that really opens the door to something beautiful developing between the two of you, or being repaired between the two of you. It feels like in the future, if you'd be open and willing to work with this person in that capacity. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got O, V, W, D, T, E, G, C, F, E, H, S, S, and F. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.